Imagine waking up one day with the eerie feeling that time, the steady ticking of the clock that governs your life, might not be what you think it is. What if every moment you've lived, every plan you've made, every regret or hope you carry, is tethered to an illusion you've never questioned? Consider this: the way you experience time, the past that haunts you, the future you chase, the present you barely grasp, may not flow from some universal truth, but from the unseen currents of your mind, shaped by habits, fears, and the world you've been taught to accept. How much of your life is truly lived in the now? And how much is a shadow cast by yesterday or tomorrow? How often do you feel like you're racing against a clock that's not even yours, bound by a rhythm dictated by forces beyond your control? Today, we're embarking on a profound expedition into one of the most enigmatic and elusive mysteries woven into the fabric of human existence, the notion that time, far from being merely a straight line we tread from birth to death, might actually be a confining cage we've unknowingly constructed around ourselves. What does it really mean to slip free from the iron grasp of time's relentless pull? Is it as simple as pausing to catch your breath, slowing the frantic pace of daily life? Or could it hint at something far more profound, a radical, soul-deep shift that redefines your very relationship with existence? Stay with me on this unraveling path, because as we peel back the subtle, hidden ways time exerts its quiet dominion over your thoughts, your actions, and your dreams, you'll come to understand why so many people drift through their days never truly living, trapped in an invisible prison of their own making. And, more importantly, how you can break those bars to step into a life unshackled from its oppressive chains. The ultimate truth we're heading toward is nothing short of breathtaking, a revelation so powerful it has the potential to reshape not only the way you perceive the fleeting hours and days that stitch your life together, but also the way you feel every single breath, each inhale and exhale, vibrating with a newfound sense of freedom and presence. Let's start by invoking a name that carries the weight of centuries: Augustine, a philosopher from long ago who grappled with a question that reverberates through the ages. As alive today as it was then, what then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I wish to explain it, I do not know. To him, time wasn't some simple, predictable stream, a fixed river carving its path past us with indifferent certainty, but rather a perplexing puzzle, elusive and slippery, a creation born not from the world outside, but from the mysterious workings of our own minds. Now, pause and turn that lens toward your own existence. Picture your daily routine. You wake to the sharp chime of an alarm, glance at the clock's unyielding face, and hurl yourself into the hours ahead, driven by the pressure of deadlines looming like storm clouds and shadowed by memories that cling like damp mist. Time feels tangible, doesn't it? Solid as stone, relentless as a tide. But what if that's an illusion? What if the way you move through time, the way it seems to grip and propel you, isn't an unchangeable truth at all, but a fragile construct, a narrative woven thread by thread from the conditioning of your upbringing, the expectations you've absorbed, and the illusions you've never thought to question? From the very instant we draw our first breath, we're gently but firmly taught to carve our lives into measurable fragments. We're handed schedules like sacred scripts, precise times to eat, to rest, to rise and labor, each moment neatly boxed and labeled. We're instructed that the past is a foundation shaping who we are, that the future lies ahead like a distant shore to be reached, and that the present is merely a thin, fleeting thread stretched taut between the two, barely worth a pause. This lesson seeps into us so thoroughly, so silently, that we cease to question its truth, accepting it as the natural order of things. We train ourselves to gaze backward with the soft haze of nostalgia or the sharp sting of guilt, to peer forward with the restless churn of anxiety or the burning drive of ambition. But here's the unvarnished reality: this rigid way of perceiving time isn't some innate rhythm we're born with. It's a construct thrust upon us. A cadence inherited from a world relentlessly fixated on productivity, forward motion, and the illusion of control. Over time, this imposed beat erodes something essential, something precious: the quiet, unforced ability to simply exist, to be fully present without the weight of what was or what might be. And yet, most people never glimpse the bars of this subtle cage. They trudge onward, obedient to the clock's unyielding tick, convinced this is life as it's destined to unfold, shackled servants to an invisible master they don't even recognize. They endlessly revisit old scars, picking at wounds long past, or sketch out ceaseless tomorrows, stacking plans like bricks in a wall that never quite holds. In doing so, they let the moment they stand in slip through their fingers, unnoticed and unclaimed. But beneath this mechanical march, there stirs a quiet unease, a deep-seated ache that murmurs in the stillness: isn't there something more than this relentless cycle? Have you ever felt that whisper? That brief, piercing twinge when you realize an entire day has vanished into the ether, lost to distraction? Or when you're so consumed by the shadow of what's coming that the richness of now fades to a blur? These fleeting disruptions are fractures in the facade, subtle signals that time's grip on you, tight as it seems, may not be as unbreakable as you've been led to believe. Let's plunge even further into this mystery. What if time isn't merely a passive stage where your life unfolds, a neutral backdrop ticking steadily behind your every step, but instead a dynamic lens, subtle, pliable, that you've been gazing through all along, one you hold the power to bend and reshape? Modern science lends a quiet nod to this unsettling possibility. Einstein, with his revolutionary mind, revealed that time isn't the rigid, unchanging thread we once imagined. It flexes, stretches, and warps, contorting under the influence of speed and gravity's pull. But step beyond the realm of physics, and the truth grows even more intimate. Your own experience of time dances to the rhythm of your consciousness. Pause and consider it. How an hour drenched in joy slips through your fingers like a fleeting breeze, while an hour steeped in pain stretches into an eternity, each second a heavy stone. So what crafts this lens you peer through? Is it truly yours, forged from your deepest self, or is it fogged and distorted by the weight of old habits, the rigid rules society etches into your mind, and the unspoken fears you've yet to confront? Take a moment to look inward. Have you ever found yourself slipping free of time's grasp, perhaps lost in a sudden surge of creativity, where ideas flow like a river, or immersed in a conversation so rich it feels like a world unto itself, or standing still before a quiet sunset, the horizon swallowing every thought of clocks and calendars? In those rare, luminous instances, the relentless pulse of seconds dissolves, and you're simply here, vibrantly, undeniably alive in a way that defies measurement. But then, like a rope snapping tight, the world yanks you back. Alarms shriek, responsibilities tower like an unyielding wall, and you're bound once more to that ceaseless, mechanical tick-tock. Why does this happen? Because we've woven a mask around time itself, much like the facades we craft to shield our true selves. We name this mask discipline, drape it in the guise of responsibility, crown it with the weighty title of reality. Yet the tighter we cling to this fabricated veil, convincing ourselves it's necessary, even noble, the further we drift from the raw, unshackled truth that hums beneath it, waiting to be uncovered. And then there's the darker, hidden undercurrent, the shadow side of time, those fragments of our existence we turn away from, unwilling or unable to face. These are the moments we refuse to fully feel, the chapters of the past we hastily bury beneath layers of denial, and the looming future we dread with a quiet, gnawing unease. But this shadow doesn't lie dormant or mute, it's far from silent. It creeps into the fabric of your days, subtle yet persistent, manifesting as procrastination when you shrink from tasks that stir fear or uncertainty, or as the heavy ache of regret when you find yourself clutching too tightly to what's long slipped away. Have you ever lashed out at someone, a sharp word escaping your lips, only to pause later and wonder what unseen force drove you, or sensed a vague, restless discomfort flickering in your chest, its source elusive and unnamed? That's the shadow of time at work, stirring beneath the surface, a restless echo of unlived moments, their weight pressing against the edges of your awareness, demanding to be felt. But here's the unexpected turn, the twist that shifts everything. What if this shadow isn't your captor, chaining you to a life half-lived, but instead a hidden key, glinting in the dark? What if these very pieces of time you've pushed aside, dismissed, or feared hold within them the secret to unraveling time's oppressive spell, offering a path to freedom you've yet to imagine? This is where the real shift begins. Psychological freedom isn't about escaping time. It's about integrating it. It's about facing the past you've suppressed, not to dwell, but to release. It's about meeting the future you fear, not to control, but to trust. And it's about stepping into the now, not as a fleeting second, but as a vast, living space. Imagine this: every moment you've rejected, every fear you've dodged, is a piece of your wholeness waiting to be reclaimed. When you stop running from time's shadow, you unlock something profound, a presence, a power, a life that's truly yours. But most people never take this step. Why? Because it's unsettling. It means letting go of the clock's comfort, facing the silence beneath it, and asking, what am I without this rhythm? Yet here's the incredible truth: time doesn't own you. You shape it. The moment you see through its illusion, you stop being its prisoner. Picture a life where the past no longer binds you, the future no longer pulls you, and the present becomes a canvas for your deepest self. This isn't about ignoring clocks or shirking duties. It's about living beyond them, free in a way most never dream possible. Now, the final revelation, the one that changes everything. You are not a passenger carried by time. You are its co-creator. The hours, the days, the years, they're not chains, they're threads in a tapestry you weave with every thought, every choice. You've been taught to see time as a master, but it's a mirror, reflecting what you bring to it. Stop racing its shadow, and it slows. Stop fearing its end, and it expands. The life you've been seeking isn't waiting in some distant tomorrow. It's here, in the unbound now, whispering your name. So, what will you choose? Will you keep marching to a beat you didn't set, trapped by a clock you didn't wind? Or will you step into the stillness, where time bends to your truth, because life doesn't truly begin until you break its rhythm? And now, you know how? Thanks for watching.